Hello, hello. Yay, we're back. What's up, Periscope? We're still bringing you on. I'm not sure if that's the preferred way that people want to play here, but we're going to keep doing it. Who do we have on Facebook Live? I see some people hopping in. Isabella, Jennifer, good afternoon. So let's jump in. I have a lot of great content for you guys today. Hi, Megan. Hi, Francine. Yeah, keep saying hello over on Facebook Live and Periscope. So nice to have you guys join in live for this. I sound a little bit congested today. I picked up an unfortunate bug between the difference in time zone and the travel last week when we headed out to Kelowna. So I'm almost through it. That's the good news. You will want to go over to my Instagram and take a look at this incredible oil protocol that worked for me last night when I had the cough phase happening. And it's a t-shirt tent and it uses peppermint, rosemary, and lime. You guys, I just want to kick off by saying, I know, I love nature. I love the wisdom of nature, and we're going to talk a little bit about that as I talk about the 5 detox rituals and the intelligence of our body. But every once in a while, even myself, I've been using essential oils now for 10 years or longer, doTERRA specifically for about 4 years. And even now, every so often, I will find myself saying, I cannot believe that worked so well. Like, it blows my mind. How many of you are with me? Like, you're a conscious person. And Susan, yay. Susan said she tried this morning and then was shoving my hands down the kids' shirts to spread the love. Yeah, there's something pretty nasty going around right now for sure. I know we're all dealing with it. Susan, it's so nice to have you on live. Okay, so what I was going to say was, every once in a while, I find myself saying, I can't believe how well that worked, because way back in the day, many of you are like me, before you had options or tools, you would just kind of suffer through things. Like I was never a fan of taking a pill for something. It's never felt right for me until I have found myself in situations where that was a mandatory thing. I'm extremely grateful for the time and day that we live in, that we have this access, right, to emergency care. But I don't want to be taking stuff like that with a cold, right? Like, come on. But I was raised that way. I mean, for sure, we would be taking things when we were kids, and it just never felt right. So I would just struggle through it. And anyway, I was just like tipping my love to the oils last night because it worked and it was incredible. And I'm so grateful to have tools. Like, I know many of you, we have common ground there, where we are people who are seeking health, seeking a higher state of health, and not buying into all the things that we were told were health, right? There does come a point where we just have to start advocating for ourselves and find a better way. So that's why I know a lot of you are here. So real quick, I'm in London, Ontario, and I'm really excited. I just noticed yesterday we have an event coming up on Friday night. It's actually called the doTERRA Post-Convention Tour. So if you're familiar at all with doTERRA, then you've likely seen that there's been over 100 of these post-convention tour events happening all across North America for the last 2 months or so. Friday night is actually the very last stop for doTERRA here in London, Ontario, and we have close to 1,500 people coming. It's one of the largest in the entire company. A lot of my team lives here in London, so we have a pretty big, passionate essential oil community, but we have people driving in from all over the place, right, to come learn about doTERRA, to understand more about what's going on in this movement. And if you want to understand that more, go back and check the first episode I kicked off with on the show, actually, called Hitting the Healthcare System Between the Eyes. So you'll learn about the company and what this movement really, like, why it's happening. But you'll also learn a lot about the oils and the content for this night on Friday. You're going to understand how the bridge is being formed and the powerful oils. Like, doTERRA launched some real heavy hitting oils this year. Copaiba is one of them. Rose in the Touch Roller bottle. Those are probably my top 2 for curiosity right now. I'm using them for everything because they just have so many benefits to the body. So anyway, really excited to see that. And then our team's actually doing a business training on the Saturday that we filled up as well. So when I look at that, and this whole thing's just getting started, but there is such an attention being focused towards health right now and learning a better way than what we were told. And so it's really exciting to see that. So at the timing of this broadcast, October 25th, I am in the middle of one of my core programs that I run called Ready, Set, Glow. It's a 7-day detox. It is a more intense 7-day period of juicing and blended whole food nutrients in the form of smoothies and soups, and then all whole foods at night. Lots of water. A lot of the community uses their oils to support deeper cleansing. And then we include some really powerful rituals to incorporate during this week. Oftentimes for people in the group, this is the first time they've done these things. So the feedback I hear from people who go through this program is that this is the launch pad for what becomes this lifelong journey of being a student of their body, and just little by little, right? Adding in healthier things to our daily routines, not trying to take away everything right away, but over time feeling inspired to do that because you're feeling better. So I thought it would make sense for me to add value to you today around this topic of detoxing and cleansing. And I mean, it's a hot topic. There are a lot of different approaches out there today. There's a lot of different protocols, a lot of different systems, and a lot of different beliefs about whether we even need to detox the body. So I want to tell you first where I stand on this, having been somebody who has had her head in a health book for most of her adult life. And if you know me, you know that I don't teach anything that I don't do. I don't share anything that is hype. I don't share anything that I haven't tried in my own body and had great results with. That is how I have built my entire brand, and how I serve my community is by implementing it first in my own life for a while before I even talk about it. So I do believe that it's important that you are intentional about supporting your body, specifically your liver, through your daily routine, through what becomes your life, how you live, your lifestyle, right? I think it's important that you're intentional with a few areas so that your body can do the cleansing it's meant to do. So number one, it's already happening. Like all day long, your body is cleansing for sure. But I'm gonna break that open just a little bit more to help you understand why it's not enough to just assume that you don't have to do some kind of a targeted program or focus. The second thing I believe is that even though the body is doing all this work every day for you, it is important to do either a biannual, so twice a year, or a quarterly, like 4 times a year, every season, for example, where you're doing a focused push to take your body to the next level. Because the reality is, if we aren't part of something that's incentivizing us or holding us accountable to creating change, we can go years before we ever make a positive shift in our body, and our habits end up controlling us. And many of the habits that we have on a daily basis, we don't even think about. And these habits sometimes that we don't think about can sometimes be the very ones that are creating dis-ease in our body, okay? So it's important to have some kind of a focus throughout the year. Now, just last week, a young girl came up to me and said, I don't need to cleanse. This is why I have a liver. I don't know why you talk about this. I don't know why you talk about eating organic food. Organic food is no better for you than any of the other food out there. In fact, it's actually more unhealthy. And this is a young girl fresh out of school, okay? And she lives in a farming community. She had some biases towards her opinion for sure, but so do I. Of course I do. I have a bias towards speaking what I do because I know how much it helps people. I've had years in the game working with people, right? So I gave this girl my typical response. She thinks she doesn't ever need to do anything cleansing for her body because that's why she has a liver. And my simple reply to her was just, hey, that's great. That's awesome. You've obviously found a very healthy game plan that's working. And you have no reason to concern yourself with the impact of our modern world. Clearly, you're very confident in what you're doing. Now, I know as well as a lot of you know that she has a lot to learn because, and a lot of my own awakening came when I became a mother, right? How many of you, like the lights flicked on in a bright way the minute you became a mom and you started to realize, uh-oh, something's not right here. My baby is telling me something's not right. Her skin is showing me something's not right in what I'm doing. I need to do better. I need to learn more and advocate for her. And so because I was talking to somebody who's never really had the life experience to know what she's talking about, but instead could read it in a book, I know she's got some pieces to learn. But some of you might even be thinking that. Some of you might think, well, my body is wise and intelligent, and absolutely I want you to keep trusting that because it is. It absolutely is. But the reality is we live in a very different day today, okay? And, we can't take that for granted, that our body is able to keep up with everything that it's coming across, okay? Think of that friend that you have. We all have this friend, right? Every time we talk to them, every time we're in their presence, we feel worse, okay? We feel worse. We feel heavy, like it's work to talk to them, okay? That's how your liver feels. Like, yeah, you might still do the things, you might still be the friend, but you're working harder than you know you should be. And eventually, you're just going to walk away from that relationship, right? So kind of a very simplified parallel or analogy, but you get the point. So I wanted to start off just talking about the why, okay? And everything I'm going to say in the next 3 to 5 minutes is taken directly from the EWG, the Environmental Working Group. If you're not familiar with that website, I want you to look it up this week if this topic interests you, because the EWG is doing such incredible work to empower people with the knowledge they need to make better decisions. Okay, so they're a whistleblower on what's going on right now. So here's just some things that might give you a reason to understand what I'm talking about and realize it is important, okay? The biggest one is when you look at our exposure. I mean, when you think about the very reason we talk about detoxing or cleansing, it's because we know that we're bombarded. We're getting it from all these different areas today, okay? Environment is a big one for sure. Just in the last 50 to 100 years, there have been 85,000 chemicals introduced. And the regulations, you guys, on these chemicals are super loose. Like over 90% of these 85,000 new chemicals have never been tested on human health. It's just this assumption that our friend the liver is just going to keep on going, even though we just keep blasting it with new things, okay? So the environment is a big one. Our diet overall is a big one, the food supply. Okay, so the pesticides are huge, and I'm going to give you something in just a minute that'll make the mamas cringe a bit. But the pesticides are a huge concern. The hormones, if you eat animal products, hormones and animal products are huge concerns, especially for women, right? Hormones run our show for sure. Products we're putting on our skin is another big one, okay? And I'm not going to spend too much time on that today. I think that could be a whole topic, right? But a lot of us are awakening to that, and this is what launches a lot of people into using doTERRA, because they want to start making their own very simple, effective, natural products to use on their skin. This is where I started. I wrote a whole ebook of recipes for people that I gave in my community of how to make all their own stuff. And I mean, you can go over to doTERRA.com and look at the whole DIY section. You don't need my ebook. I mean, their recipes are killer. So just go look at all the DIY stuff. I was just doing these things before it all existed online, okay? Furniture, let's talk about inside of our home, right? Our inside air quality is actually worse than our outside air quality because of what we're bringing into our home. So a lot of the furniture, carpets are a big one, okay? Carpets, you probably noticed that kind of chemical, weird smell. That's called off-gassing. So it's literally like giving off gases into your room, okay? Because of the way it has been manufactured. And then we have cleaning products. Cleaning products are a huge one, and actually probably the simplest area for people to start without having a lot of change created in the home is just to get rid of all the toxic cleaners. doTERRA makes a great one called the All-Purpose Cleaning Concentrate. It's an on-guard solution, and it'll make about 12 all-purpose cleaners just with this one bottle, which costs about $15 at wholesale. So you're like making your own cleaners for your house for like less than $2, okay? It's not difficult to do these things, but it takes awareness and it takes intention before the new way kicks in. Because, you know, if you ask someone like me, or really anybody in our oil community, for example, our lifestyles today are way different than what they were a couple years ago. But that's the best part, is it's this journey of learning to do better, okay? And I'm sure that what I'm doing in 5 years will again be like at a completely different level from what I do now. And yet today I feel like, you know, I'm intentionally doing everything to my knowledge that I know to create a healthy, happy home. But, you know, as we learn more, we do better. So here's the one stat I wanted to give the mamas. And again, this is from the EWG. I'm going to read it directly. Actually, I copy and pasted into my notes a paragraph from them that I think really tells the story, because it's one thing to kind of keep your head in the sand or just assume that things aren't as bad as sometimes we think or talk about. But our kids are telling us a different story, okay? So I often feel you really don't have the whole picture of what's going on unless you're a mom, because your children are literally, they're like a mirror of our choices. It's a humbling job, you guys, right? It is the hardest job in the world. But you do get to a point where you have to do better by them, right? So I want to read this out to you. In a study spearheaded by the Environmental Working Group, researchers at 2 major labs found an average of 200 industrial chemicals and pollutants in umbilical cord blood from 10 babies born in August and September of 2004 in US hospitals. The tests revealed a total of 287 chemicals. Of those 287 chemicals detected in the umbilical cord blood, are you still with me here? 180 are known to cause cancer in humans or animals. 217 are toxic to the brain and nervous system, and 208 of those cause birth defects or abnormal development in animal tests. So I will say this, how we think about one thing is how we tend to think about everything, or at least a lot of things. This has always been my feelings about, you know, how we take action on things, for example, how we tend to do something, how we reach a goal is probably how we're reaching a lot of goals or not reaching a lot of goals. So when I think about the perception out there that we don't need to take breaks and shift and cleanse and get better, it's this assumption, and I think that, and I could be wrong here, I could be wrong, there's no proven research on this yet. But if you think that your body is just going to keep on taking it and you can just keep on hurting it, then there's probably the same assumption being made that you will always be taken care of by other people. Like the healthcare system, for example, like, you know, you might have the mindset that you can just keep hurting yourself. And so what? If you need to lose an organ, if you're in Canada, it's a free surgery, right? There's that feeling like it's somebody else's problem, or somebody else is going to take care of it. We see this as patterns within government, within the school system. So this is deeper. This is a belief system that people have. Thanks, Jackie. She linked up the article on the EWG. So if you're still with me on this topic, how about it? How about, here's what I want to do. I want to quickly review what the liver does. And then I want to give you 5 simple things you can do that are not like next level. They're really a standard for supporting your body in natural cleansing. And then I want to give you 5 other things you might want to try. And these are the things that my cleanse group is going through this week. But first, I'm going to have a spoonful of lentil soup. I'm doing a working broadcast today, working lunch broadcast, because I have a very busy afternoon. Okay, so your liver, right? Your liver is your master detox organ. So it basically is controlling and cleaning anything that your body is absorbing or metabolizing or digesting. It's cleaning it so that your bloodstream remains clean and purified. So it basically works in two separate steps. Cheers, Sue. She's having lentil soup too. Awesome. Sorry, I just had to get a drink of water there. Okay, So the first step is your liver uses enzymes along with oxygen to basically burn toxins, especially the fatty ones. Okay. So, that makes it easier for the body to eliminate them, because proper detoxification only happens if you're eliminating. And truly, if somebody says to me they don't need to do anything for the liver, my next question would probably be of them, are you pooping after every single meal? Because that would be an incredibly efficient system of detoxification happening, okay? The second step combines taking the partially processed toxins so that they can be removed through our bile or urine, okay? So it's important to realize that, yes, your liver is basically, it's the head honcho, okay, when it comes to trying to process everything that we're exposing our bodies to. However, you know, it's only one guy, right? Like there's a lot of different ways your body is detoxifying. Your exhalation is a form of detox. Your skin is also a filtering organ, okay? So it's releasing. This is why a lot of people see things show up in their skin at certain times, especially if they're doing some deeper work internally. So let's talk about the 5 areas that we can actually very simply support our liver so that it can be the rock star it needs to be for your entire being, okay, to remain cleansed. And I will say this, you will not find somebody living their full purpose and fulfilled on a deep level to the point that when you're in their presence, it's an experience, right? You experience their full being. You will not find somebody living this way if they are not healthy. You just won't. And I'm just like completely convinced on this. When I see people in leadership positions that are not taking great care of themselves, that is a leader whose organization is going to fall apart. Because it's paramount to being somebody who is living their fullest potential, right? You can't do that if you have all these blockages, right? And if you're sick and if you have disease, I mean, that is a shift of focus. You can't tap into who you're here to be, right? So this is paramount. So these 5 things, I don't even see these 5 things as nice to-dos. These are like absolutes. If you're somebody who has an interest in just living larger and brighter and feeling great, how you were designed to feel, okay? Number 1 thing you're going to notice, you guys, there's some parallels between these and the top 5 health habits I shared in episode 2, because these are like fundamentals. So, hi Ingrid. So number 1, drink 1 liter of water for every 50 pounds of body weight. Or I've said this before, drink half your body weight in ounces of water. So this is like non-negotiable at all. Like water and the quality of your water is actually the simplest thing you could do to support your body in having regular movements and elimination and cleansing, right? So you want to make that the goal first. And honestly, I would challenge you to cut out a lot of things that you might be drinking that are not promoting your health. So, drinks even like kombucha, like that people get addicted to things like that, and it ends up replacing things like water. So that's where you want to start. Now, the very best, the gold star of water would be to go find a local spring. So you can actually hop over to a website called findaspring.com, and you can find a local spring water near you and actually go and fill your big glass bottles up with it. So that would be like the best thing ever if you have one near you. I wish we had one here close in London. Reduce osmosis would be the second best thing, to get a whole home filter. So we actually did this a couple of years ago in our home. We purchased a whole home filter by a company called Sauna. And I think I have it linked up actually in the shop of Whole Fit section. I just have everything that we use in our home is linked up there. So if you want to head over there to see exactly what I'm talking about, it's that filter. The third would be even just getting a simple Brita. Morgan said, I've heard not to exceed 100 ounces. What do you think? Your body will tell you. So there really isn't a one size fits all with water intake because, like, for example, I drink about 4 liters a day. Other people might feel like they're drowning if they drink that much water, like their organs were floating. But to me, it's what I've been doing for like 15 years. I've literally been drinking that much water every single day for 15 years. It's why I have a lot of energy. My skin glows. I have my bulletproof coffee in the morning, and then I only drink water throughout the day around my meals, and I'll have like an herbal tea at night. Excuse me. Okay, number 2. There's a couple of areas you want to reduce. Number 1 would be alcohol. It serves absolutely no purpose in your body. I will have like a couple glasses of wine a year. And even then, I'm really hoping it's organic and red wine, and that's about it. To me, I know this can be a big one for people because it's also a very social thing, but it actually has absolutely no positive benefit in your body. So, what starts to happen is you look at things like, well, do I want to feel good or do I want to feel great, right? Like, yeah, you could probably drink a couple glasses of wine a week, but is that what's separating you from living an incredible life or just kind of meh, right? Like sometimes you got to remove a few of these things and see if you're needing it. Karen says, this is huge. No wine has changed my life. Awesome. Yeah, that's a big one. So alcohol, sugar, dairy, and meat. These are the 4 things you want to look at reducing. I'm not saying cut them out altogether. I think a lot of people thrive on healthy meats in their diet. But, these are 4 areas you don't want to be having all the time. And sugar would be the biggest one for most people, right? Is just being more mindful of sugar. So these are all things that feed congestion, blockages, and ultimately disease in the body. So you want to make sure that you're being just conscious with those 4 areas. And one comment on meat, there's a lot of people in the paleo communities. There's a lot of people who feel they really thrive on having meat every day. Now, if you are, that's a decision you're making because of how you're feeling in your body. You're absolutely going to want to make sure that you're eating meats that were grass-fed, hormone-free. The makeup of meat from a cow that was grain-fed and trapped in a cage versus grass-fed out in the sun, they're completely different food products, like completely different. It's wild. So you want to make sure that you're choosing really clean sources. And ideally, unless you're somebody that feels like you have to have it every single day, you're cutting it back to 2 or 3 times a week. Okay, third category would be your products. So again, looping back to the environmental working group, you can go on here and find some of the statistics around our products and how important it is to pay attention to what we're putting on our skin. But according to a survey of 2,300 people on average, most people use about 9 products daily. These 9 products contain 126 unique ingredients. Okay, so when we look at the personal care product industry, they're manufactured with almost 11,000 different unique chemical ingredients, some of which are known carcinogens, some of which are toxic to the reproductive system and known to disrupt your hormones. And while there are companies out there that are cleaning it up and are doing a good job by this, there's a lot that aren't. There's a lot of companies out there who they don't care because there's nobody telling them they have to care, right? There is no pre-market safety testing required of a company to launch a product within the self-care beauty industry. Okay, and you can actually find this information right online. Okay, this is right from the FDA. Okay, a cosmetic manufacturer may use almost any raw material as a cosmetic ingredient and market the product without an approval from the FDA. And this was back from 2012. So basically, there's no governing body over this. So who becomes the governing body? You. You have to equip yourself with the knowledge to make better decisions around what you're putting on your skin. So one of my favorite apps for your phone is called the Think Dirty app. And you can scan barcodes at the store and it will actually show you the toxicity rating of that product for the most part. Now, not every product, not every brand is going to be in these databases. It's going to be like your most common kind of drugstore lines. It'll keep expanding, but what I would encourage you to do is with the products you're using, look at the labels and look at the ingredients and understand what they're using. Now, not all ingredients that look like a chemical or that you can't pronounce are unhealthy for you. So you do need to educate yourself. And this is where the EWG is really helpful, because you can actually go on their website and you can punch in an ingredient that might be in your lotion or shampoo that you're not sure what it's there for, and you can read about it. Because sometimes these things like sound bad, but they're not. But it is important that you look at it. And they actually have a really helpful guide on there to avoid like the top 10. There's a printout you can put in your wallet if that's more your jam, that you can have the top 10 ingredients to always avoid in your products. The last two things that everybody really should be doing already would be increasing the amount of organic whole foods produce. More vegetables than fruit, but they both have, they're powerhouses of vitamins and minerals and nutrients, and you want to make sure you're reducing your exposure to pesticides. And going organic is going to be one of the best ways to do that. Now, I still wash all of my food before we eat it, even though most of it is organic. I do like a big bath. You guys have probably seen me talk about this online. So I'll fill a big basin with water, and I'll often actually add a couple of pumps of the On Guard foaming hand soap and then a couple drops of lemon essential oil, and I'll just let it sit there for about 10 minutes. You could actually just use water. That will pull off. I think I've read stats about it pulling off about 80% of the dirt and some of the waxiness that might be on the skin of your produce. But I just am astonished at what the water looks like once I remove the produce out using the system I just shared with you. And then the last thing would be to break a sweat. So sweat is one of your body's main releases, just like pooping. It's one of your body's main releases, okay? So whether that's sweating, through movement is going to be the best way. Moving your body at least 3 times a week. I encourage people to try to do something for like 15 to 20 minutes every single day. Whether it's getting out for a really brisk walk, or dancing with your kids in the kitchen, or if you like to run, like doing that, but just find something and build in variety, you know? Now you can also sweat in other ways, like taking an Epsom salt bath. I'm going to talk about that next. Or an infrared sauna, for example. Sweating is so good for your body to be able to release, right? So let's go into the 5 rituals, okay? The 5 rituals that I have my detox group focusing on this week. Number 1 is oil pulling. So I did a real quick Insta story on this yesterday on oil pulling, okay? And I just want to show you. So oil pulling originated in India, okay? And it's part of natural healing practices there. It's an ancient practice, okay? So this is just newer to our side of the globe. But oil pulling, basically, it helps really boost the health of your mouth. So it's going to help with things like bleeding gums, tooth decay, even if you're sick. So I've been oil pulling every day this week to help pull out what's going on in my body, right? And I'll show you what you do with it. But there's basically a few oils you can use for it. Sesame or sunflower, so cold pressed sesame oil would be what you'll see is most commonly used somewhere like India where it originated. But here, coconut oil is what a lot of people are turning to because of the antibacterial properties. So I just wanted to give a quick mention of a product that I really like because it's really easy for travel and just for ease in the mornings when you're wanting to do this. There's a company, and I think there's a couple of other companies. There's one in the US, I think, called Cocoa Swish. This is a company out of BC called Kismet, and it's called Cocoa Rinse. Okay, and it's solid coconut oil that comes out of the tube. I actually get about 3 uses out of each of these little packets. So I'll just like squeeze some of the coconut oil in, and then I add 1 to 2 drops of either doTERRA On Guard, the immune support blend, or peppermint. And what you do is you basically swish it around for 15 to 20 minutes. Now, sometimes I'll do this while I'm driving. Sometimes I'll do it first thing in the morning if I'm having a bit of an easier morning. Sometimes I'll do it if I'm having a nice long shower and just do it for like 10 minutes, you know? So you don't have to do it for 20 minutes every time, but you'll be amazed at how much healthier your teeth become from doing this. So here's the key thing though. After you've done your 10, 15, or 20 minutes, you do not swallow, okay? This is going to be filled with stuff you do not want recirculating back into your body. So what you're gonna do is you're actually gonna spit it out into a garbage can. Because again, if you're using something like coconut oil and you spit it into your sink after, in the winter, what happens to coconut oil when it's cold, right? It goes to a solid. So you don't want that clogging up your pipes. So that is oil pulling. Now, I typically, again, like I said, if I'm doing it, I want to do it when I haven't just eaten, or ideally I'm doing it in the morning, right after I do the next thing I'm going to talk to you about, which is tongue scraping. So the order for me in the morning would be scrape my tongue right away, do the oil pulling, and then give my teeth a quick brush. Now, obviously, I'm a mom of two, and that kind of morning doesn't happen all the time. But in a perfect world, that is how that would go. I would do this, though, like I said, in the afternoon or even at night. Hey, you know what? If you find you're reaching for sweet treats at night after dinner, here is like a next level thing. It like might change the game for you. Go brush your teeth, wash your face, and oil pull. And watch your Netflix while you're pulling the oil through your teeth. You won't be craving the sweets anymore. Okay, tongue scraping. So this, again, is another Ayurvedic self-care ritual. What it basically does is it removes bacteria, and the majority of the bacteria in your mouth is in and around the tongue. It removes food debris, it removes fungi, toxins, and dead cells from the tongue. A girl in my group last week said, once you start to scrape the tongue, you will never not scrape the tongue because you'll be shocked at what comes up. So this is a tongue scraper. This is an example of one. This is my favorite brand. It's Dr. Tongues, okay? He also makes a fantastic toothbrush, by the way. It's the Ionic toothbrush. I use it. I love it. So the tongue scraper, I prefer to use a stainless steel scraper. There are like plastic ones out there, but this is going to be the best. So, so the tongue scraper, what you do is you basically, first thing in the morning, like literally once you start doing this, like I said, you will never go a day without doing it. I travel with this. Everyone who's traveled with me ends up coming in the bathroom and be like, what the heck is this? You know, they think it's something I'm like inserting in other areas, perhaps. Kind of does look like that. But no, and then I educate, because that's what I do. I live to educate. So you get up in the morning and it's the first thing you do. You start at the very back of your tongue. I'm not going to like show you right now because that'd be massively disgusting. But tongue comes out, you scrape from the back forward, and you're going to do that like 5 to 10 times. And you'll be like so disgusted, but you'll kind of be into it. Kind of like when you were in high school and you wanted to pop pimples. If any of you liked doing stuff like that, you'd be like, oh, give me more. Okay, so that's the body. It's so cool. And you'll scrape it off right into the sink. Okay, if you don't have a tongue scraper, you can also use the back of a spoon. You guys loving this? Okay, number 3 is, oh yes, Lindsay, thank you. So Lindsay, she's a dental hygienist, okay? So Lindsay's just saying this is also another great way to reduce bad breath, and it does. You'll actually also taste your food better because you're literally like cleaning your tongue, and digestion begins in the mouth, so you'll notice that it really supports all that. Yes, you will want to clean this. I clean my toothbrushes and my tongue scraper weekly. I give them a little soak with clove essential oil and water. You could also use On Guard, but clove is like the heavy hitter. Okay, number 3, what am I going to say next? Who saw it? You guys saw it probably. I'll just go right into it. Dry brushing. So I have a couple of different varieties. I have like 6 different dry brushes all around my house. I have them in every bathroom. I have one down by my infrared sauna because I really believe in this habit. It just makes you feel so good, and it's doing so much good in your body. So dry skin brushing, first you just want to get yourself like a really good firm bristled brush. So this is one I have here. This is one I actually purchased at Sephora for travel just because it's nice and small. But again, they're both pretty brisk. And what you're going to do is you're going to do this before you shower or have an Epsom bath, even better. And you're going to start at your feet, and you're going to brush your skin in strokes. You're going to keep brushing it. I like to give like each area just a couple quick brushes all the way up. You're going to focus a little more time in the like hip to groin area, because that is an area where you have something called Peyer's points, which are like lymph areas. So you're boosting the cleansing action that's happening. And what you're doing through dry skin brushing is you're not only increasing circulation and opening up the pores and exfoliating, but you're also helping to move the lymph through your system, because the lymph doesn't have a pump like the blood does with your heart. So your lymph is very important to get it moving, and dry skin brushing is a great way to do that. And you don't have to do it to the point that it hurts. It can be light, right? So if you go for like a lymph massage, you'll notice it's like light pressure. You're just wanting to pull the surface up. But I personally really love applying a little bit of a pressure to do nice exfoliating. And I will do this. Honestly, I do it about 5 times a week. I just love it so much. So once you get to the groin area, when you get to the stomach area, you'll want to do clockwise, and then you shift to the arms. You do the top of the hands up, spend a little more time on armpits, because again, that's a lymph center. When it comes to your chest, you can brush in strokes just towards your heart, and then stay away from the neck and face. You don't want to brush those areas because it's very sensitive skin. And that's dry skin brushing. So you're really increasing the circulation. And again, any of these habits, if this is the first time you're hearing it, go look online. You'll be like, oh wow, I didn't know that so many people did this. But they're great, and it's really good to build into your routine. Okay, the next one, and that would be this would be a great segue from dry skin brushing, would be having an Epsom salt bath. So I love to do this 2 to 3 times a week, especially on the days where I've been working like a longer day. It's just so yummy to look forward to at night. And it's actually really cleansing for your body. So my like suggestion for bathing to support cleansing would be to add 1 cup of Epsom salts, unscented. We do not want to be adding toxic fragrance to our bits, okay, in the bath. So no fragrance. 1 cup of Epsom salts and about half a cup of baking soda. To that, I will add oils. So I will often add 2 drops of rosemary and 2 drops of juniper berry. Those are my preferred cleansing oils. But you could just do something like frankincense or lavender. I would encourage you to look at using doTERRA. I know a lot of you do. It's going to be the cleanest, highest quality essential oil you will ever bring into your home. So if you're playing around with other brands right now, you need to give doTERRA a try, especially if you're somebody looking to go next level in your health. You're probably getting tired of oils you're buying at the store not quite doing what you thought they were good, you're hoping they were going to do. So that's the bath. And if you go to my Instagram, you guys, and search the hashtag WholeFitBath, you'll see a whole bunch of different posts I've done from the bath. And I also gave you this really nice Spotify playlist to play while you're in the bath, and you'll love it. So make sure you go check that out. Okay, the last thing I was going to mention was infrared. I get a lot of questions about this because we have one in our home. This was something we invested in about 2 or 3 years ago, and we bought a clear light. It's the Sanctuary 3, and it was something we were putting off for a while, saving up for. They're not cheap, right? I think the unit that we bought was about $8,000. But when you look at all of the information on what they're doing for your body, just the ability to remove solvents and organic chemicals and things like PCBs, which is a chlorine compound, pharmaceuticals, heavy metals in your body. There's just so many benefits to it. We knew we wanted to get one in our home. Now you can pay to go in them. You get it's funny, I'm seeing a lot of the old tanning salons, more so in the States, are actually switching out tanning beds for infrared. It's just like a sign of the times. So it's nice because it's not as hot initially. It's not as hot as a typical dry heat sauna. So if you're somebody that's more sensitive to heat, you might like an infrared even better. But I will go in ours about 3 times a week. And I love, again, I'll dry skin brush before I go in. I'll bring a big glass of lemon water in there with me. I will sometimes do calls or a bit of work in there because it doesn't actually affect the technology, although I don't really want to get blasted with EMF while I'm in there. That's why I purchased a clear light, because it is the lowest EMF on the market. Sunlight is another good brand. But yeah, I'll do that. And then I will take doTERRA's Zendocrine oil, which is a detox blend. It's mainly the geranium in that blend that is so supportive of the liver. I created a little roller bottle of Zendocrine, basically like 10 to 15 drops of Zendocrine with coconut oil in a roller bottle about this size. And I roll it over my liver. And I go in. If I was somebody looking to cleanse deeper from heavy metals, I would use cilantro diluted on the bottoms of my feet. Cilantro is a heavy metal detoxifier. So, just some extra thoughts on there. But definitely something to look into. If it's in your budget, it's going to be so beneficial. My kids will go in it for about 10 minutes at a time. Yeah, it's just a great thing to have in our home. Okay, so any thoughts on that while I have a couple bites of soup? All the comments are being posted into the live chat on Facebook, all the links that I've mentioned. So if you want to take a look there for the answers you're looking for. There were a couple of questions that I pulled from the Q&A today that kind of had to do with this topic, and then we'll wrap up the show. I'll probably do a Q&A, a full Q&A next week. So thanks for your questions and for adding them to the forum. We'll add the link for the forum in the Facebook chat here. Okay, so 2 questions I'm going to take today. So the first question was, advice for me as I'm making positive changes to my lifestyle that will positively impact my physical and mental health, implementing it into my children's lives, but I have a spouse who's very against the changes. So, I'd love to hear from some of you on this topic, because I know that some of you have made a lot of headway in this area of not having somebody who is supporting you when you were wanting to make healthy changes. And one of the things I caught about this person's question was that she's a mom, they have kids, okay? So what you always want to do when there's opposition is try to find where the common ground is first. So obviously, it's a conversation around, as parents, what do we want most for our kids? What do we believe is a healthy way to raise them? So I think that would be a good conversation to have, because if you remove yourselves out of this and perhaps ego out of this and make it about your kids and what you feel is the best for them, it might open up more of the conversation. I think if it's a spouse who's not on board with you wanting to eat healthier and make those changes, when we know that's going to create thriving kids, there's something there that's being triggered. There's something, and sometimes it's the trigger of change in general. It's scary to make changes sometimes. For some people in their relationships, they bond over eating unhealthy. They are enabling each other to stay sick. And this can bring things up. And so it can be really hard in a relationship when one person is wanting to make healthy changes and the other is just not interested or ready. And sometimes I find for men, I don't mean to paint this brushstroke over the gender, but I just think that women are more apt to be looking at what they can do in their home. They tend to run more of the healthcare in their home, whether it be through foods or using things like essential oils. So I think that part of this is modeling, because the best way to influence change in other people is letting our life speak for us. I believe, when I get into a conversation with somebody who is really closed off or really negative about the work that I do, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what I say, because what I know is most important is that my life reflects what I teach. And I'd encourage you, whoever wrote this question, or if any of you are feeling this in your homes, the best thing you can do is be that example, is be the example of health and love in your home. And eventually that's going to spread to your husband or your wife or your partner or your mother-in-law. It eventually Love always wins, okay? So you can't go wrong. It's unfortunate that you have to feel alone, but I'd also like to suggest that maybe this is actually what is supposed to happen, because maybe there's something else you're going to do in this life where you're going to need to go first, where you're going to need to be the one who models it first and not be waiting for someone else to do it with you or to support you in that. I'm a big fan of going first. I'm a huge fan of leading my team by going first, because I never want to be the one saying things I'm not doing, or sitting back waiting for them to do things that I haven't done myself first. It just never works. And so I think, that's what I feel when it comes to this question. And believe me, I have gone through times where I did not have full support. Actually, to be honest, you guys, I bump up against these rails daily, because I think that if you know what's right, and if you have conviction about something, it's going to ruffle feathers, right? For me, honestly, it's about, I am like really so clear with my time that when other people who aren't clear with their time or communication, I really make them feel it. Specifically, like in my close circle, of when people have expectations of me that are unfair, because I'm super clear in what I need to do, whether it's for the kids, for our home, for my business, for myself, for my husband. And if somebody is all of a sudden coming in and thinking that their priorities need to be my priorities, they're going to hit a huge wall with me. A very clear, big no, and it doesn't feel good to people. It's why I don't even pick up my phone when people call. I never pick up my phone when people call, because to me, that's the ultimate example of this, of somebody. I mean, I honestly think people should assume to get an answering machine. That's just my belief. But if you call someone and you expect them to pick up every time you call, then that's kind of saying that you have nothing going on, right? Okay, I think I'm going to make it. I'm doing a lot of talking today. Last question. Hey, Ange, and maybe Chris. Well, Chris isn't here today, so I'm going to speak for him. You speak a lot about how the oils have helped health-wise with your kids, keeping you guys healthy and clean, but you mentioned a while back how you used to fill the voids with shopping, etc. And I was wondering if you could touch on how the oils helped with more the emotional healing and how they influenced your journey on being so fulfilled and happy within. Thank you for all you teach us. So thank you for this question. I love it. Number one, you can absolutely be healthy without oils. I just want to put that out there right now. So when people see me talking about oils the way I do, I share oils and I share what I do because I absolutely know and absolutely believe they are a missing tool for a lot of people to have solutions for 80% of their healthcare needs. Now, they might find solutions in other areas, but through my years of coaching, what I found was people quit on their health, quit on their goals, if they don't start to see changes pretty quick. And essential oils, when I started really working with them, I realized like they are the wisdom of nature in such a fast way. And so to kind of connect the dots to it within this question, there's a quote that I love and I think of often. It's by a man named John Muir. And he says, when one tugs at a single thing in nature, he finds it attached to the rest of the world. So to connect to the last part of your question about how, years ago I would have done things like shopping all day to fill a void. Essential oils to me represent full circle healing and connection in the world. Because what's happening is when somebody chooses to take control of their health in this way and to not harm their body, but to seek greater health in the little things and initially in the big things, knowing there are always other options out there. But when somebody actually lives from that space of total ownership and advocating for their health in that way, what we see happen through using essential oils is a great deal of personal healing takes place for people. And they heal in such a way that they start to show up in our world bigger and brighter, and they help other people. They offer other people that. And it's not, it's not like it's as simple as just using an essential oil. It's an approach. It's a mindset that you're somebody who's interested in the whole health picture, right? Like, you're not going to be somebody eating healthy and going to the gym and popping Tylenol all day, right? You understand how it all works together. When you tug at one thing, it's attached to the whole thing. And so what I saw in my personal evolution over the years, I mean, back in the day, I was trying to fill a lot of voids when I was working in a corporate world, because deep down, I didn't realize it as intensely as I know now, but I was not living my purpose. And so I was always trying to fill that outside of me. I feel so grateful for my life today. I feel like I have the best life ever. It's not easy work all the time. It certainly isn't. But I'm committed to it because I know that I'm living my purpose. And if I'm able to help one person a day just feel better in their own body and take that out into their family and ultimately take that out into their community and the world, we're affecting things on a massive level. And so it's not as simple as saying, just use essential oils and all this will happen. It's actually a belief about ourselves and health and nature that all intersects together when somebody starts using something like doTERRA. And then for people that I have worked with over the last 4 years, building a wellness business using doTERRA, it's not about really like selling oils. You're connecting people to oils, but you're somebody committed to being on a personal development journey for the rest of your life. Because you crack open, like you literally shed these beliefs you've had your whole life about how things work, and you start to feel better, and you grow and you create community with people, and you want to be a better person because of it all. And that's what this becomes. And it's a lifelong thing, and because I know that, it's why I removed myself from the game of just talking about nutrition or just talking about exercise. And I spent years coaching in that because I knew that there was a bigger thing going on when it came to using essential oils. And I know, Periscope dropped. I got a phone call. The thing is, I'll never stop doing this work because it blesses my life in such a deep way. It's not about a title. It's not about money. Those are things that if you are feeling a void in your life, that will never be enough. To me, it's the pursuit of continuing to learn and live and lead at a higher level. And that's the emotional healing that came. And that's what ultimately created the journey that I'm on right now. So it starts with us. It starts with us at an individual level. And the nice dot connector through this episode is what I opened up with today. You have to be somebody that's choosing to not remain ignorant, that's choosing to not take your body for granted, and also entertaining the thought that your body does know how to heal itself. And we have a whole lot of solutions right outside of our door in nature. And I really feel this revolution of coming home to that is here. So great note to end on. If you want to add your question to the queue, we will do a Q&A episode next week. And so nice to be on with you guys. I will upload this to iTunes right now. How many of you are actually checking out the show on iTunes? Do you prefer one over the other? I know for myself, I'm a big podcast fan. I listen to about 3 to 4 hours a day. In the mornings when I'm working, I'll listen to it in the sauna. I'll listen while I'm out for a run. I love listening in on conversations that other people are having about certain topics, and podcasts are just such an easy way to do that. So hope you're enjoying that version of the show. Okay, great. I'll come back and read through your comments. Thanks, you guys. We'll see you next week.